All right, so it's time for Disco Elysium, or as we have been named, Discourse Elysium. It's very clever. I can't take any credit for it. It's cleverer than something that I come up with. I appreciate that very much. So for anyone who is just tuning in, I have made a new layout. My box has gotten bigger to symbolize me getting out of control when I talk. I'm outside of the box. My box is bigger. I'm out of control. When I'm talking a lot, I'm going to be on this screen. And when we're playing the game like normal, let me know what you think of this. If there's anything I can do to make that transition a bit smoother, or to put the content on either screen be a little bit more what you need, or less jarring or something like that, let me know, because we will be ideally going back and forth between those two pretty well. But yes. However, we are starting off, so that means we're going to start on this screen. All right, so we have a little bit of Joyce conversation left for us. We have talking to Joyce about the rest of this crazy little thing called life. But we're taking a break from that. Actually, yeah, no, Kim told us not to continue that conversation right now. That we should come back tomorrow. And if there's one thing I want to do, it's make Kim happy. I haven't always succeeded at that. So I will try that, I think. But we have to carefully try to thread the needle of accepting her. Is it even a bribe? If it's a, like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. There's a word for that, but my brain's not giving it to me. But we have to try to find a way to be like, yes, we're going to look into the smuggling of drugs without actually saying we're now under your thumb, because that's not a good thing for us. It's great for her, not good for the rest of us. It's not just a deal. It's not just reciprocity. It's the specific situation of it that is more along the lines of bribery, where it's maybe morally questionable in a way. So that's the thing to do. And then I think we were going to go talk to we were going to go into the apartment building if there's time. It might be too late in the day because I have talked to everybody a lot. Apparently not everybody talks as much to everybody on the first day as I have. I mean, I feel like from my perspective, the only thing that I've done abnormally has been meta outside of the game talking too much. I don't feel like anything that I've done in this game has been pursuing more conversations than the game presents me with. I don't feel like I've gone out of my way to find them. Maybe I have. I don't know. But before we dive into that, can I talk just a little bit about a thing that I've been working on about this with this game? Like, will you forgive me if I talk for a minute about something else? Okay. All right. So this is not a full-blown thing yet. But so if you're on my Discord, you saw me reference the fact that I had a thought. A thought popped into my thought cabinet. And I had to write it down on Tuesday. And then I had to take a break because I had to download a book on Libby and read that book so I could get back to writing my thoughts. I have a problem. So if you are interested, I could potentially share 1,600 words or so. Poor Chrono got it sent to him. I don't expect him to have read it, but he's the person who gets subjected to my like zero draft mess sometimes. But I had a thought that is maybe stupid. It might be completely dumb because my brain isn't working just yet. But it's working better than it has been, and that means that it's working well enough for thoughts to enter my thought cabinet, even if I can't quite put them into place yet. So it's sitting there. It's sitting there and I'm working on it, but it might take a little while. And honestly, in order to really do it, I'm going to have to beat the game. But all right. Do you want to hear the literary studies major clown shoes, or potentially clown shoes herself? All right. So a thought popped into my head, folks. So the book that I had to go back and reread was the Book of Merlyn, the last unincluded, I guess the last and excluded in publication chapter or book of The Once and Future King by T.H. White, which is an Arthurian story that if you enjoy the style of writing in this game and some of the questions that this game is asking, you may want to read The Once and Future King and the Book of Merlyn. The Book of Merlyn is less readable than the rest of the books, but if you're willing to skim around, also if you are willing to subject yourself to some outdated and racist opinions on behalf of the author. So I have to give you that caveat. But I had to read that because I was thinking, as I mentioned before, the entire point of the Book of Merlyn specifically is that Merlin and a bunch of animals are talking to a very old King Arthur who's like on the eve of the final battle. They're having this argument about essentially how to stop war is what White's original intent behind it was. He actually rewrote chunks of the rest of The Once and Future King to try to push it towards that. It had already been published, and he was like, no, I think it needs to be more anti-war. But in order to do so, they kind of are exploring a bunch of different they're talking about governments and society. So they talk about communism, and they talk about fascism, and they talk about capitalism, and they talk about democracy. And they have animals standing in for all of these. So if you've read the regularly published Once and Future King, you may have read the section where Arthur, in that case as the little boy, which you might know from The Sword and the Stone, the Disney version, he gets turned into an ant and goes into an ant colony, which is fascism. But in the Book of Merlyn, where that was originally intended to be placed with old man Arthur, he's also then, after that experience, sent into basically a peaceful pseudo-anarchism of sorts, which is the geese. What was it? I had a term for the geese. Okay, fascist totalitarianism among the ants and gentle anarchism among the geese. This is me reading my own notes. And meanwhile, Merlin and these other animals are just arguing back and forth. And at one point, Arthur gets fed up with this and walks out for a while. But it's exhausting and kind of miserable sometimes to listen to all of that. But the questions that are being asked in a kind of clown shoes manner sometimes. The thing that, and I was just thinking about satire is the thing. So I'm thinking about satire, and there's literally two definitions for satire. I have, in fact, the two definitions of satire from Merriam-Webster for you right here. Look, I literally started putting this together. The actual writing of it is a mess, but the content is starting there. Okay, so the first definition is a literary work holding up human vices and follies to ridicule or scorn. And the second definition is wit, irony, or sarcasm used to expose or discredit vice or folly. So in other words, the first is a literary form, and the second is a style of humor. And so sitting down to play this game, initially I find myself, obviously this has a satirical sense of humor. The clown shoes are doing what satire does so well, which is taking things to an extreme beyond extreme. And what better example of satire doing that than something which is the literary form of satire, which is Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Swift's A Modest Proposal, but it is like a quintessential work of satire that is extremely effective and horrifying. And if people don't realize that he is using brutal humor and exaggeration and not literally telling the truth, that he is being he's being very ironic. The suggestion is, well, if they're overcrowded, let's just eat their babies. He does not literally mean we should eat babies. He's trying to force you through your horrified reaction to what he's saying to consider what horrifying things people are saying that come across as less horrifying than that. And it's very effective. Another work of satire that is by Jonathan Swift that is very effective is Gulliver's Travels. which I haven't read all of Gulliver's Travels. If I'm going to actually make this thing, like if I'm actually going to write this down, I will have to read all of Gulliver's Travels. Gulliver's Travels works as entertainment, like Discworld works as entertainment. But Discworld is a satirical comedy for entertainment's sake that makes you think about things and questions and challenges things about humanity. But it's not trying to do the literary form of satire, I don't think. Because it's primarily for entertainment. I think that Gulliver's Travels succeeds at entertainment, but is trying to be more of a true satirical work. Which, like, again, like the same thing I think can be said of The Once and Future King, which is pretty satirical, and then the Book of Merlyn is very similar. So one of the things that Gulliver's Travels has in common with the Book of Merlyn and with Disco Elysium is that all of them are asking questions about similar things, and they are poking fun about similar things. And yes, Alice in Wonderland is also satirical. Some people make arguments that The Wizard of Oz is satirical, but that's a little... The satire there is a little more debated. Like, what exactly is he satirizing? What exactly is symbolic here or not symbolic? Like, when is a candle just a candle and a road just a road? But yeah, so there are a number of things that have satirical elements in them, but are also largely intended to be entertainment. But those three works in particular, if I'm including Disco Elysium, that a big part of what they're talking about, what they're satirizing, is not just human nature on an individual level, but society. And they're asking questions with their own concerns. They're desperate for people to change. They're slamming on the brakes, trying to force their audience to look at things and think and take action. So I'm going to read what has to do with Disco Elysium here, and I'm going to ask you to sit with me, because like the thing is, like, Disco Elysium is interesting, and it's funny, and it's got like good characterization and all of these things, but it's, I think, really intentionally metaphorical and satirical rather than just a work of entertainment. Like, as far as I have experienced video games, I think this is the first mainstream video game to be an all-out literary allegory. Mainstream. Obviously, there's going to be some indie games out there that are that. Okay. So, let's see, what am I gonna say? Do you mind if I just keep going here? 'Cause, like, initially, I sat down with this game not knowing that it was going to ask any questions about society, not knowing that it was going to ask questions within itself about this or to me as the player. It's very easy to sit down with this game, and within a few seconds, you know that you're playing a game with a satirical sense of humor, that the things that it is poking fun at and the way that it is poking fun, that's satire. But so I thought that it was going to be more like Discworld in that regard. It's a very easy comparison to make between Disco Elysium and Discworld. I'm not the first person to have made that comparison. Because I was like, I wasn't expecting a mainstream video game to be a weaponized work of literature the way satire as a literary form is. But the more I dig into it, and I'm still on day one, so we'll see, but it seems like it has more in common with Jonathan Swift's take on satire than Terry Pratchett's satirical entertainment. So I'm going to skip over some of this stuff. Okay, so where am I going with this? Okay, surface level, Disco Elysium is a game with a satirical sense of humor, a wild, over-the-top, exaggerated writing and art style, a compassionate love for humanity despite our failings, and an apparent interest in various forms of government and social structures beyond its immediate buddy cop mystery plot. Again, I'm only on day one, so I don't know for sure if that's actually how we would, in some of the whole game, describe the plot of the game. But at least where I am right now, it's a buddy cop mystery, in a way. So in Merlin, we listen to the characters make often ridiculous arguments as the writer's mouthpiece or as a satire, clown shoes, of real-world opinions, and the author is sometimes making a direct entreaty to us. Sometimes Sometimes Merlyn serves as the author saying what he feels. Sometimes Merlyn is the clown shoes version of the author lampooning what people are saying in the real world, much like we've noticed clown shoes things here. And sometimes the narration just straight up tells you, please think about this. But the thing is, we as the audience in the Book of Merlyn have no place in the conversation. It's a one-way experience where you're receiving what the author is telling us. Arthur is also a recipient, not a participant for the most part. Like, he has no power, and his powerlessness in the situation is kind of part of his conflict. So it's interesting. So he, like, it is placed on his shoulders that no matter how exhausted he is or miserable he is, that he has no choice in the matter. Still, he must, try to take action. And in doing that, T.H. White is kind of trying to motivate us, the audience, to recognize and kind of identify with Arthur and try to take action ourselves, even if it feels hopeless. So here we go. Disco Elysium invites us to become part of the conversation. Disco Elysium makes us, the players, stand in the role of Arthur, since I'm comparing this to the Book of Merlyn, to experience what a team of jaded Estonian wizards in place of Merlin have decided to put in front of us. And while we receive the words that they write, just as Arthur and his reader do, we are an active participant in the arguments being put forth. And that's not possible with any other form of media. No satirical novel can do what Disco Elysium is doing. So we get to decide for ourselves what to make of all the information and arguments we're presented with. And that means we get to answer the big questions about humanity and government and how a society ought to be run. And what's extra fascinating, and this is what got me thinking about this in the first place, is the discovery, according to the world building of the game, that Revachol itself was at one point meant to be a sort of playground to put these theories to the test. You get the feeling that the writers behind Disco Elysium are just as desperate for humanity to do better as T.H. White was and as Jonathan Swift was, but here they can pull their audience directly into the conversation in a way those two men never could and maybe never would. And maybe by inviting other people to participate, we can collaboratively work through this and find answers, and at the very least by being involved and having to think about things and really interrogate our answers by making assertions and having our convictions challenged, because the narrator is never going to let you slide no matter what answers you pick to those questions. We can at least emerge into the real world changed, more thoughtful, more honest, more self-aware, ready to act and to make more thoughtful, more compassionate, and more informed decisions in the real world. And I think that's neat. Basically, the idea here is that they are not just creating a game that's interesting and asking questions and exploring possibilities. They are engaging you to participate in satire so that you are changed more directly in the same way that satirical writers throughout time, well, recent history, satire as an art form has only been around for a few hundred years. But in the same way that they have tried to make change, I feel like what they're doing is that they are and they are inviting us to participate. We are not just players. This is one of the things that's so fascinating about interactive mediums, because the interactivity is so remarkable and so unique because we are part of what is changing. That is why Gone Home could not possibly be told in a non-interactive medium, for all that it was one of the things that incited the conversation about what is a game and what counts as gameplay. The interactivity of Gone Home is not icing on top of the cake. It is an intrinsic part of the batter of the cake, if that makes sense. Because your perspective of what's happening gets shaped over the course of the events, and that is what's being guided and changed in a really effective way. You are being pulled into the experience, and you wouldn't have that if you were reading a book. Likewise, this is making full use of its medium. For all that it is a text-based, lots of words talking to people game, and so gameplay purists who demand that we click buttons and press on things in order to have combat, in order for something to count as gameplay, would be completely mistaken if they tried in any way to assert that this is not an interactive medium, that this is only, in some way emulating a traditional non-interactive art form. It's not. It would be impossible to create something like this in a non-interactive medium. And of course Gone Home is not as advanced as Disco Elysium. It's like, what, 15, 20 years newer? I mean, it's an exaggeration, but I believe that game came out in, what, 2008? The medium has evolved dramatically, and that was a small indie publication. This is a much, much larger release. So I don't think it's fair to compare them. But all that to say, like, what is so neat is that it's like layers within layers within layers. We are being asked questions, not just because it's interesting in the game world. Maybe we'll get a chance to shape what happens in the world, just as I've been kind of speculating about the changes to Ocelot's personality based on the choices that I make and the way that I play him. The game perhaps shifts everything around it so that the way that Ocelot is to some degree always, that he has always been the way that you are playing him. But it's also possible that the choices that we make, the way we answer these questions, as we accept the challenge to ask about these big questions about government, a society, there's probably a term. What terms should I use to describe communism, capitalism, fascism, authoritarianism, all of this stuff? Like, what is a better way of saying this? Ideology. Okay, thank you, Serious Inc. Like, it may be that we shape the future of the world of Disco Elysium. We may shape the future of Revachol by answering these questions and making decisions and taking actions, but also on asking and answering these philosophical, ideological, God, that's a hard word to say, ideological questions, and coming up with answers. We're going to shape this. So it's not just this really interesting question of, like, who is Ocelot? What's his deal? What's going on with this murder? What's going on with the layers of these people? And the infighting, and the union, as in this instance, organized crime, and all of these really fascinating set pieces. Underneath it all are the writers of Disco Elysium attempting to cause our brains to grow and develop and question and challenge and emerge from the experience of having played this game different people with a stronger sense of what we think is right and wrong and our place in the world and what we can do about it. And I think that may actually very well be the case, because as I've commented in previous streams, like the level of personal investment that people have in this game is unprecedented. The only games that I've seen that have been similar as far as like emotional attachment goes have been Undertale, pretty much. But Undertale doesn't do that kind of thing. Undertale is trying to do something else, and I have thoughts and feelings about that. But I feel like this game perhaps changes your brain. Maybe Undertale changes your heart, and this game changes your brain, and you're never the same afterwards, and that's perhaps why people are so connected to it. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say, and that's part of why we have this new thing. I actually came up with the idea to make this before I started writing that. But then I was like, well, this is the perfect instance to pull that out. So yeah, there you go. That's my thought. Does that count as an essay? I don't know. If I were still properly an academic, I might turn it into an essay. But we'll see. We'll see. In a way, this is speculation. In a way, this is mini golfing. In a way, this is me guessing about what's going to happen in the game on a meta level, not just in the plot of it. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say. And maybe I'll make something out of that. But as you can see, I can't do that until I've played the game. Thank you, Kiwi. I mean, I can share that. If you want to see the 16 or 1700 word brain dump of that, I can share it at the end of the stream or something like that. Also, I write fanfic right now. I'm going to be writing some other stuff that's not fanfic, but right now thank you. Chrono is my hype man and my beta reader. Thank you, Chrono. Or I guess that could be a video essay. But I implore you, if you think that I'm making some good points, I'm flattered. Read those books that I talked about. Do some thinking for yourself about it. Don't just take my word for it. I'm just some rando online. And yeah, if that sort of thing is interesting, I'll make things like that maybe. We'll see. I'm still not working on all cylinders. My brain is not firing on all cylinders. It's enough for me to be able to kind of put these things together, but I'm not there yet. So this is in my thought cabinet. We are internalizing it. We will see what happens. Yeah, no, and I'm sorry, I'm not opening this up for conversation with me, but if you want to have fun with each other talking about this, even if it's just, oh my God, Lauren. And I will say, for all that I'm a literary major, like a lit major, I hate searching for symbolism. I can't stand it. I hate trying to read symbolism where there is none and thinking bigger about things in a way that doesn't fit. Disco Elysium is the kind of game that I think you can have. It's the kind of experience that I think stands up to that kind of interrogation and has that kind of layered meaning and intentionality behind it. So, oh my God, symbolism has probably been around for a while. Maybe not as ham-fistedly as it was in like the 1700s? Is that when we had, I'm trying to remember, when was Nathaniel Hawthorne? Was he in the 1700s? I think so. You'll see if you read my mess of a thing that I just talked about. There's a little dig on Nathaniel Hawthorne, so I hate him very much. 1800s. Okay. I couldn't remember, but yeah, no, symbolism can be great and powerful and fantastic. It's very good, but it should be done in a way that feels natural and is part of it. I don't know. It's just there's a way to do it that's ham-fisted and bad. There's a way to read for it that doesn't make sense, and there's a way to use it's a way to use it. There is a way to use it as a tool as a writer, or to find it and sense it as a reader, that just like further reinforces what is happening. So symbolism is not a cryptic thing necessarily. Symbolism can be very overt. If you would like to have the least cryptic, most overt writing you could ever have, read some Nathaniel Hawthorne. Oh man, he wrote The Scarlet Letter, but there's a short story of his that's the worst. What's it called? It's like goody good goes through the woods and gets accosted by the devil. I don't know. Looking for Symbolism Girl is in every lit class, and Looking for Symbolism Girl is not my favorite. And sometimes I've had Looking for Symbolism Girl in critique groups with my writing, and I'm like, no. Goodman Brown! I think that's the one I'm talking about. Thank you. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna switch over to the game now. But there you go. There you go. It's great. It's not yet 8 o'clock. We made it. We made it through that. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, folks, for listening to that. And for anyone who is joining us now, if you don't want to hear me ramble like that, when you see me switch to that screen, that's the indication we're going to do the rambling. This is where we're going to gameplay. Thank you. I'm glad. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We're going to play this game. And nothing against people who want to write highly symbolic things. I have had symbols pop up into writing. Look, Joyce is not clipping through her boat now. Aren't you proud of her? I'm so proud of her. Look at that. Okay. So we have, before we can talk to Joyce, we have some things to look at. We have Get a Reality Lowdown, an update. Keep asking Joyce about questions about reality, or return later. She'll be here whenever you need the info. Joyce is rich and willing to answer your questions. Bonus. Amazing. The thing is, there's a bunch of those questions, and I do want to continue digging into them, but I do think that maybe I should sit with them for a bit, because I've been talking to so many other people today. We've got this right here. Why did this have... Did I get another one? Oh, I did get another one. The Jamais Vu. Never seen. Derealization. Oh man. Please forgive my bad French. We're going to hear that some. Okay. Temporary research bonus, none. Research time, 3.5 hours. Oh man. Problem. Revachol Special Administrative Region, Le Caillou, the Insulindian Ocean, Coalition Government, Insulindian Mission Command. Name after name, and none of them is familiar. They seem real, but something is wrong. You feel like a kid looking at stickers on the fridge. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That is such a powerful image. That is so effective and specific. It puts you immediately in what they're describing. That's so effective. Trouvant, the Apricot Company, World Games 34. You can almost see your hand reaching out for them. Scratch at the corners. See if they peel loose. This feels like the most important of all the thoughts. The one you truly must complete. They're so good at this. Interestingly, this experience that they're describing right here also fits how we, the player, feel, because they have done a beautiful job of creating Ocelot such that his confusion and our confusion overlap, as I've said many a time before. I have to keep bringing it up because it's so effective. You know? It's so impressive. It's so good. I don't know what any of these names are. Something is wrong. So you wonder, like, okay, we're gonna mini golf stupidly here. Just throw some dumb ideas into the abyss, because why the hell not? I swear on this stream. Is it possible that they broke reality during the experiment of sorts that they had? What they were trying to do here, even if, like, again, it could be an expanded and extended, like, clown shoes exaggeration rather than a literary thing. Like, it could be a joke instead of that they literally mean it. When they said something to the effect of Revachol being an experiment where the people here were playing with, like experimenting with something, and the rest of the world objected to that. And I think I might have, back when we first heard that, guessed that maybe that had something to do with some sort of like scientific experimentation, but I think it's government experimentation. I think that it may be that that's the clown shoes exaggeration way of saying they were trying for a community focused government, and the capitalist focused rest of the world objected to the fact that they might actually be able to succeed at that, so they came in and stopped it. But it could be also that they broke reality, because we're in this weird, not quite our world, but not entirely removed from our world. So it's kind of like, did something break here? And so is the reason why Ocelot struggles so badly. Wait, hold on. Do you see that? That's your brain and your spinal column. That's so interesting. What's that system called? There's a word for that. Because I initially was like, is that your skeleton? But it's absolutely not your skeleton. No. Is this your nervous system? Does your brain count as your nervous system? Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes, that. So it's not actually showing us your skeleton. It is showing us your thoughts. That's interesting and neat. And you can't see the little itty bitty nerves running everywhere else, but here's the big components, the spinal column going down from the brain. Or is it the limbic system? Is it? I don't know. Anyway, that. I'm not a biologist. I'm a lit person. I'm a literary scholar, if I can call myself that. So I'll just gloss over and you folks can fill in the biology. We've been talking about biology in Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. We talked about turtles and mushrooms and things for obvious reasons. Oh man. And your gut's important, yes. But yeah, so it's kind of like, did the game world get shoved into an alternate dimension because something went wrong, and that's why nothing feels right to Ocelot? Probably not. This is probably the actual reality that he lives in, and he just fried his brain by drinking too much alcohol. But I wouldn't be Lauren if some part of me didn't take it very seriously at face value and then extrapolate from there what could possibly come of it. I am what I am. So, that's interesting. I do not have enough, because experience says 95 out of 100. So I do not have quite enough to get one of these. I wonder if you can get a -2 plus that. Does that mean that I take like every single time there might be a half-light? I wonder if that means that I have a critical failure every time. I don't know. But we will get those 5 more points probably in this next conversation with Joyce, because we do have to accept that thing. Yes, we are tripping over the level. For anyone who has not watched me play through other games that have experience points and are like, okay, I think there might be something technically wrong with one of my cables, because when I move and adjust my laptop, sometimes is when that happens. So I don't know. Maybe something's wrong with the cord that I use to connect to the. Well, I'll deal with that. That's not your problem. That's my problem. I'll try to fix that the next time. So maybe that won't happen again. Anyway, I was just talking about the concept of tripping over a level is basically, imagine it is so close that it's underfoot and you're about to fall over it because it's like right there, like a cat rubbing against your legs. So tripping over a level means it's very close. So 95 out of 100, that's tripping over a level. We have a few silly jokes that go back, that some of them predate streaming, like referring to explosive barrels as salsa barrels because they're usually red. There's a couple of others, I can't think of them offhand, that I have introduced to the streaming community here, but tripping over level is one of them. Alright, so of these questions, which one of these am I going to take? That is a good question. I'm not sure. It's interesting, neither one of these gives me a bonus of any sort. I do really want to see what happens if I investigate the Kingdom of Conscience, and it's shorter to learn. I'm curious about it. Yes, status on fire. That's another that's another one that goes back to the tabletop Suikoden game that I played in university. Or maybe it was shortly after university. Oh, man. This one seems like a really big deal that might have something to do with overarching plot stuff. They're all interesting. I want to get all of them. Like the 15th Indo tribe is interesting, and that seems like that'll be neat world building, and for some reason that one will take a very long time. I want to see what happens with Kingdom of Conscience. But this one right here feels like it's the most plot-related thing, so I don't know. Future Lauren will decide which one we're going to get. Future Lauren might be Future Lauren in like 20 minutes. Damn it. Well, it's fine. I gotta be indecisive in talking to Joyce before I can be indecisive in what I do after I talk to Joyce. Are you ready? Man, I get performance anxiety a little bit with this game because I do want to do things right, even though it's not right and wrong. So this is really, it's like how in role-playing, when you pick a role-playing character who has a personality that lets you stretch or grow some part of yourself, you pick somebody who is working on something or has some attribute that you have to work to mold yourself, because in the kind of like a fake it till you make it, the more you practice that by putting on that character's persona, the more you as yourself are able to do that. If I role play Ocelot, if I in the process of playing through this game, perhaps I will help myself embrace the fact that there's not a wrong answer. There's just life. I don't know that I could ever confidently make bad decisions, but I think I could just accept that sometimes you're not going to do things S rank, and that's okay. That's just part of being alive. All right, let's talk to Joyce and get this over with.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
I'm not asking her for money, by the way. Like, that question is not happening, because that is a bribe. That is a bribe, my friends, and I'm a cop, so that's no good. Hi, Splinch, man, you missed me talking about, you missed me reading from what may become a video essay in the future, apparently. We'll see. It is a bribe if you ask for it directly. There are places where a bribe is expected, and you should budget in for a bribe if you're doing certain actions, but it's still a bribe. Yet not trying to do things S rank at all times, because it turns out you can't. Do that. Thanks, Conundrus. Yeah, that's all right. You can go back and watch the other thing. Apparently it's going to be in a separate video now because I have to go through and smush these videos together because of technical cord related issues. I think. Anyway, that's happening. It's not a bribe if you say it's a gift or donation. I mean, it is a bribe. It depends. I mean, we can go into a whole conversation about whether the United States is actually any less a culture of, oh, hold on. It just occurred to me that I should change something here. Hold on. Whether it is any less a culture of bribery than places that are known for being problems with bribery. I'm going to up the performance of this. There we go. My computer is now going to make a lot more fan noise, but it's going to operate better. No, but it is interesting because people will say that bribes are not expected or normal in the US. And the reason why they're not in the same way is because, like, lobbying and things like that are the methods by which, you know, bribery, etc. can happen. They don't call it bribery. They make it legal by making it some other thing that isn't bribery, so it doesn't count. So it's, I don't know. It's interesting. It's still there. The problem is still there. The corruption is still there. They've just legalized corruption. It's a problem. It's a problem, man. All right, so I think that this tell me more about the strike at the harbor is where I have to choose an answer about that investigation thing. I did just save, so if I really hate what I did here, I could always load. I don't want to get in the habit of doing that, but that feels like that is a way that people can play the game, so we'll see. Yes, McZarklesby. I'm sorry, I had a hard time with your name there. Corporations are people. Man, Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah. All right. I'm going to do this. Tell me more about the strike at the harbor, right? I think that's it.
Of course.
Right? Is this not it? Oh, is this the wrong one? Wait, which?
Of course. How else can I help?
Which? Anyway, internet. What was I saying? Oh, tell me about this drug trafficking. That's the option. That's the option to progress this. We're going to have to actually progress this. I think I have to do this. So let's finish this up. We could ask her one more question, but I do think that we should probably move on from Joyce for now and then do something else. I don't know. All right. Shall we do this? Let's do this.
The lorries are still stuck at the roundabout. If the police is asking, one of the drivers might admit to it.
I'm not going to have suspicions about the drivers because I'm pretty sure that they're talking about Guy McMahon. I don't remember what his name is, but it's basically that. I know, Zulily, right? Okay. I've made up my mind about the smuggling investigation.
Yes?
Okay, Kim has told me that I should say yes and be able to make a show, but not actually give her everything she wants. That's what Kim said. I'm going to outsource my problem solving to the competent man who is here to tank the situation for me. I feel like that is the wise decision. You have to place your trust in something. There is no clear way ahead. Everything is unknown and unknowable and dark under the fog of war or smeared by poor perception. You have to have some sort of light to follow through it. And that light is going to be Lieutenant Kim. All right. Yes, we will play all the angles in a way, perhaps. This is what Kim said to do. This is what Kim told me I have to do now. We will take this case, probe the drivers, see what it yields. I do not have to tell her the truth, but I may be able to give her just enough to make this. He is the flashlight man with the light. Look at that symbolism, May. Yeah, look at us. We're tag teaming symbolism reading. True literary scholars right here. All right, let's take this case.
Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something.
She takes a long sip of tea. She's like, oh yes, I can finally check off one of the items in my journal.
It may come to nothing, or it may just blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need.
Unfortunately, that will affect other people's lives, but...
In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance.
She takes another long sip from her seemingly bottomless thermal cup. I appreciate that they give her that bit of physical grounding in the world, but also make fun of the fact that she has just the one action. All right, I think we're going to leave for now and see what Kim has to say about that. So she's really pleased with this, and she should be. She won that conversation. This is I lost this encounter, but this is my first boss fight, and I'm learning the ropes, so we'll have to come back and try to do better, and I will be better prepared. All right, Kim, you got anything for me, buddy? No? Okay. Well, there, we did it. I know Space Cowboy. She definitely won this. All right. While we're at it, and yes, despite the loss, you didn't game over. That's why it's like it's a scripted loss. Except that, like, I don't think the conversations themselves are going to lead to game overs unless, like, you, like, get killed. But I guess I could lose. The thing is, I get the feeling that the boss fights here are not going to be the ones that can lead to your death. I feel like those are going to be random encounters. Like, we could go get punched to death by Measurehead and then load our save. I feel like I should try to continue pushing myself to grow as a person. Maybe Zulily, but not enough. Yeah, the ceiling fan won against me. We could try talking to this girl right here and end that conversation, but I still don't know what. I think telling her to do the thing, but I actually don't know that I feel like Ocelot has that in him. Like, he may have to come back the next day and do that. I don't know. I'm gonna save. And then I'm gonna talk to her and make a choice. Do I have any items that might be useful here? Clothes. Musical instrument. Oh, I could put this on and then get punched to death by Measurehead. Orange bum hat. Oh, I lose rhetoric. No, thank you. Electrochemistry. No, I don't think I'm going to need the drugs to talk to this girl. I want to get some tare. Is that how you say that word? Tare. you have to equip it and then you can pick that stuff up. Okay. Shall we finish this conversation with her? What time is it in game? Oh, I should probably look at this. All right, the jam mystery. I've told you about Traffic Jelly and Monster Jam and Monster Jelly have a tie. Hey, in case you haven't heard the preview of my band's next album, I put it up on my YouTube channel, so you should go look at that and you can hear me talk. If you want to just hear the music, then you can go to my band's page and listen to that. But if you go to the Lauren channel, there is preamble. I should not have to explain that to you folks of all people. The reason why I say that is it's called Monster Jams because Monster Jam is one of the songs in one of the medleys that we play, and the game that it's from has the like pre-boss fight music and then the boss fight music, and so Monster Jam is the boss fight music, and the pre-boss monster music, the pre-boss fight music is called Monster Jelly in the game, and I just think that's the most delightful thing. So if you're in Traffic Jelly, that's when it's like kind of stop and go, but it like is kind of moving. It's just really obnoxious as opposed to Traffic Jam, which is like stopped. Because jelly is more liquid than jam. Maybe. No, it's not. It's not actually. Actually, jam tends to be a little softer than jelly. But that's fine. We'll just ignore it. Just run with it. Who came up with the concept of Traffic Jam anyway? I don't know. Traffic Marmalade. I really don't know. Like, is that what... I don't know. I want to say something funny there, but I can't think of an appropriate joke. Like, is that what they call it when it's on the other side of the road because it's British? I don't know. Traffic Peanut Butter. I do like peanut butter. I like it a lot. All right, the jam mystery. Someone's using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients of drugs into Revachol, which is apparently realistic. Apparently you can take the same raw ingredients and make multiple kinds of drugs for them. I am not a drug maker, nor have I watched the show about the drug maker, so I don't know these things. So those of you who have knowledge for other reasons, perhaps because you've watched the show about the drug maker guy, you can explain these things to me. See, Joyce said there are 3 drivers at the intersection. Talk to them. One of them must know something about the drug trade. You probably should put a semicolon there. Interrogate the drivers about the smuggling. Wait, in American and British English, like if it's come to a complete stop, is that called Traffic Jelly in the UK? Okay. Or is it jam and jelly, like the actual foods themselves are swapped, and jelly in British English is the one that has fruit in it, and jam is the one that's mostly like a juice? Really? Oh, jelly is like Jello. Oh, okay. All right, so there's 2 kinds of the preserve in American English. And this does seem to hold up in Canada because I can buy what I'm looking for. Have I gone looking for jelly? I will look for jelly. Cuz like there's like Jello and that's its own food. Yes, in American English, jelly is clear and jam has fruit in it. So usually you'll have grape jelly. Not grape jam, but grape jelly, and it'll be like clear and purple. And then strawberry jam, which has like clumps of strawberry in it. It's very delicious. And raspberry jam, which has seeds in it, I think, and is good. Strawberry jam is probably more versatile than raspberry jam, but in the right context, raspberry jam is the best. Like, put a little bit of that on brownies when you bake them. Like, yes, it's good. I'm sorry. Anyway, if that is different in your country, I'm very interested. And marmalade, like jam has bits of fruit in it. It's just that marmalade is very specific kinds of fruit and probably has to be made differently because it tends to be citrus fruits, which have a lot of acid in them. And it's the peel instead of like the fruit of itself. I don't know. I think a little bit too much about things that are sweet. So the jam mystery, which is all capitalized. It's the only one here that's all capitalized. It's a proper noun. All of the rest of these are like notes, and this one is an assignment. Interesting. Well, then the problem, Inky, is that we then get to the word pudding. Oh, some triangles. It's because I have an assignment that is about jam. It's a traffic jam. That's how. Anyway, pudding is a whole conversation. Because pudding refers to something very different in the US. More like a custard. It's specifically, pudding in the US refers to a dessert that is similar to a custard, but usually not made with eggs. Putting that aside for the moment, Violet. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. You get a point. Amazing. Okay, so... Wait. Can I go, like, just, like, take stuff from here? Sorry. I was gonna actually, like, progress. What is this? Magnesium. Oh. Excellent. Unfortunately, I don't have enough. Oh. Okay. Magnesium helps morale? Oh. Interesting. Shall we go inside? Joyce might see me if I go in, but that's the door. This is it, right? So we now know that the reason why... Sorry, we're just going to walk around for just a second and then we'll go and do that. Actually, hold on. Have I equipped this? I'm going to put this in my hand. Kim's probably going to be like, don't do that. While I walk around. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Does Kim have anything to say about that? There's another one. Look at me making all this money. I mean, this is certainly better than asking the Wild Pines person about a bribe. Oh, I guess I could run. What is this? Have I looked at the... Oh. Okay, hold on. We're going to take these. I bet this is going to take some time. I mean, I'm sure a bribe is faster, but... Okay, so what's in here? Have I opened up the trash can before? I don't think I have. All right, take all. Haha! Okay. The cool dumpster diving cops. Yes, I'm just picking things up. That's all. So, like, oh wow, there's like a lot of this. It's not going to be enough to actually make a difference here, but I assume this is taking time. So it's currently 7:30. Maybe I shouldn't go into the apartment today, but I want to do that. Okay. Yes, I'm just an yes. I'm an eco-cop. Don't remember how much money I need. Okay, so we can make him run? Oh, we can make him run. Okay. What was this? The music doesn't like that, though. I could apparently crowbar that, according to... Oh, look at that! There's more cans I can pick up. Yes! Yes! Yeah, Joyce is gonna be like... crazy cop is doing crazy cop things, and I'm like, yes. Yes, I am. All right. Oh, wait, that doesn't actually take time. Okay. Well, that's good to know. All right. I should probably put this bag away before I go in there, though. Wow, there is a fair bit of this. Apparently, yeah. Okay. Do I have to... Okay, oh, wait, no, I did that wrong. No, that's the wrong one. We're gonna put this... We're gonna de-equip that. Contains 16 bottles. Okay. We'll go turn that into money. I think that's gonna be like $1.60. I don't actually remember what the monetary unit is. I apologize. Shall we do this? Do you want to go into the apartment building? Maybe we should do that. We could do that. What's the worst that can happen? They kill me? They could kill me. They could kill me. Yeah, I'm gonna say dollars because I can remember that. Real. Yeah, nothing's gonna happen with the R. I only have one R. I can only say one R sound. I mean, we should go investigate the body, but I really want to do this. Oh. Do I progress the plot with the body and then go in there and get people mad at me? Do I go to the apartment tomorrow? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Be indecisive is what I do. Well, whatever. The body will be there. We can investigate that in the dark if we need to. I just saved. We're gonna go in here. I think this is the apartment complex. Yeah. Can't put any more points in a skill. Drugs raise learning caps, but they're bad for your health. Oh, hello! Look at this. Oh, there's signs and people and things. Balcony, exit. Okay, that's nice that that's... Oh. Okay, you have to understand I really like piano. Oh yeah, I don't like saxophone. That's the instrument I don't like. And I'm picky about violin. There are exceptions. Do you hear? There's like there was like lingering brass here. And the hum builds right there. Okay. I'm going to turn the music down to normal levels. I just had a feeling and I had to listen to that music. That's stunningly beautiful. So there's something haunting and melancholy and mysterious about it. Like, it has... it's the sort of song, because there's something with like the tinkly piano, the way that it's played in like the treble register there, that I think is usually used for like it's just, it feels like something I might encounter in Final Fantasy X, to be honest, in like a mysterious and magical environment, rather than just walking into an apartment building. So there are occasionally I have heard sax that I like, but it is not my favorite instrument, especially like once you get like a sexy saxophone. It's not my jam. I'm a double reed girl. If I'm gonna listen to a reed, it's gonna be an English horn. Yeah, well, but it has this like, it's very dark. So one of the things that this makes me think of, so the man who gave me a very fake name was very concerned about what would be seen and heard, what would be noticed by his neighbors with me just yelling up to him there. I do think that this is a reminder that we have to be cautious in here. Oh man, the brass. I'm just noticing the brass is almost a counter melody. I love brass. And then it rings out there. Oh, this is so beautiful. Oh my god. This is the kind of stuff, unfortunately, I don't think you could ever perform live in a video game cover band, because it's such a very different vibe from anything else we would play. But it's so beautiful. Yeah, well, like, the thing is that I think is really important to remember is that people can be appalling in the way that they treat other people and the actions they take, but they can still have an appreciation for the arts. They can still create beautiful things, just like they can still love their families or the people that they see as equal humans. I think that's imperative that we remember that we humanize people that we might otherwise be opposed to. And then there's Wagner, yeah. Oh, man. All right. So there's things to look at and a person to talk to. I'm going to look at some things here. Okay. The graffito says, a firing squad for the rich. Perhaps one might say, eat the rich. God, I love the music in here. A note reads, foreclosed by Martinez Realty Associates. So, foreclosures. There's gonna be a sign on here. I'm just kind of scoping things out. Apartment number 8. Their mailbox is overflowing. Now I hear the brass more. Like, the repetition with very subtle shifts kind of makes me think of Full of Glass. But probably shouldn't just go tearing through people's stuff. What does this say? Door number 9 is locked. We're just scoping things out. Someone has drawn a 5-pointed star on the wall. Oh, I see. You can actually see, like, they've actually put that on here. I'm curious what... Oh, hello. What do you think? As I walked past the star, let's see what this is.
That isn't just a 5-pointed star. It's an inverted white pentagram cradled in a wreath of antlers. The iconography of communism, in other words.
I don't think that's true in our world. But I'm glad that Encyclopedia here is ready to fill me in on things. I'm going to inspect the symbol closer.
The star and antlers was developed in the 6th decade of the last century and quickly adopted by Mezov and the communards during the revolution.
Fascinating, okay.
Even today, half a century after, the star and antlers retains the ability to evoke hope, disappointment, and fear in equal measure.
Okay. That is making sense with what I understand. As I talked about at length in the last stream, the complexity of how people feel about communism based on their experiences is really interesting to me. That people who are from regions of the world with firsthand experience with it do not have one thought about it. There's a lot of complexity there. Hope, despite everything. Disappointment that we had hope and it did not turn into what we wanted. And fear because the outcomes were in some cases terrible. All right. Why is the star upside down? Yeah, because you can actually see the antlers there too. I'm going to need to turn the music up. And then the voice, actually I turned the voices up so I could hear it over the music, but this song is quieter than the other song. I don't know. All right. Why is the star upside down? Because I'm used to hammer and sickle. That's the one I'm familiar with. But again, the United States does its best to quash any experience learning about communism. So we would get a very small slice of what there is to learn. All right. Why is the star upside down?
To symbolize the toppling of the old order.
Oh, that's interesting. See, this is symbolism, but like actual intentional overt symbolism. When you're making a logo, a symbol, something like this, you do want to have layers of meaning in everything you do.
Also, some social democrats were already using it.
Oh, are we going to have complications and conflicts between social democrats and communists? Because those are not the same thing. I consider myself a social democrat. I don't tell my libertarian father that because I think he might literally disown me and there is nothing to be gained from having that conversation with him. So I just disagree with him about politics and try not to go there. That's interesting. So they co-opted another symbol that was used by somebody that they were perhaps trying to get on their side, perhaps trying to either give the impression that they were unified or trying to convince them to unify. What's the deal with the antlers?
The wreath of antlers represents a natural crown. It was about building a society that could exist in accord with the natural world and at the same time above it.
That's a nice ideal. That's an important ideal. To keep the natural world in mind when putting together the structure of your human society. If one does not think that the purpose of the natural world is to serve the needs of humanity, as some schools of thought believe, for example, that is one of the problems that you have trying to have conversations about the importance of preserving the environment when discussing things with evangelical born-again Christians. Some of those, I cannot say all, but some of them definitely believe that the purpose of the world is as a playground for humanity, and the rapture is going to happen soon anyway, so it doesn't matter what we do. And so that's why they don't feel this sense of urgency or responsibility to take care of the natural world, because that's not what it's for. That's not the natural order of things. Interestingly, culturally, there's some overlap there between people who believe that and people who, for example, men who don't stand up after dinner to help clear the table, but assume without saying anything or thinking about it that the women who cooked will also do the cleaning. Don't do that, by the way. Don't be that person. But also, yes, doomsday cults are bad. So keeping the natural world in mind as you try to ask the question of what is a good structure for human society. Oh, I read a book, an interesting book. I didn't especially care for it, but I can understand why other people would. Just a cozy science fiction book. What was it called? But it was like about like queer poly communist space communism sort of. What was it called? No, it was not by Becky Chambers, but it was a book that I tracked down for my friend who likes Becky Chambers. It is called A Half-Built Garden by Ruthanna Emrys. No, the culture is definitely not that. It is very different. No, I've read one or two of the culture books. No, Chrono is the one who I tracked the book down for. So, yeah, it's interesting because they have some conversations about the value of the natural world and whether it is society's responsibility to be a caretaker of it. That's a book that I imagine some of you would find interesting if you're looking for a cozy science fiction read. It is cozy overall. It may have some moments of tension, but it's very cozy, I think. Like I said, it wasn't quite my jam. I did not find their idealistic setting to be particularly comfortable, but some of you may. And if you're interested in human-alien relations, there's a little of that. So have fun with it if that sounds like your cup of tea. Did you romance Garrus in Mass Effect and have big feelings about it? Yeah. Anyway, it's not my jam, but no shame for people who it is their jam. Anyway, no, I do think that that is something that not enough, I think, historical interrogation of human society has considered the value of. All right. Why white?
Because white is the color of peace.
That remains true across their alternate universe into our alternate universe. The dove. I'm just not a big fan of Mass Effect is the problem, but I completely understand. Like whenever, because I mean, I know that Garrus appeals to more than just straight women or women who are attracted to men. But whenever people would have a conversation about, like, well, male gaze designs for characters, well, what about female gaze for characters? And dudes would be like, well, like, Kratos. And I'm like, no, Garrus. Garrus is literally designed to be attractive to women. And if you don't get that, then you don't know what you're talking about. Him and the Prince of Persia from the Sands of Time. But mostly Garrus. And yes, he's a bug. That does not seem to stop the internet. I've had people be like, but how do you? And I'm like, don't worry, the internet has solved that. I don't know the answer to that question, but it's just go to DeviantArt. They've got it taken care of. AO3, they can help you. All right. Okay, well, I'm not an expert on the subject, so if he's a bird man, that's fine. I just always assumed he was a bug. So what does it evoke in me? Oh, that's important. So again, here is that little bit of pulling you into the game, because yes, this is us making decisions. I assume it's going to ask us questions, us making decisions about what this evokes in Ocelot. Perhaps to some degree us questioning what this evokes in us. All right. What does it evoke in me? Finish thought.
You see noble aims, but also mountains upon mountains of corpses. They should have taken a more measured approach. Also, you're really smart.
Oh, no, I was wrong. I was wrong. This does not, in fact, allow us to make a choice. This is a way that calls back to the choice that we've already made. So this would be different based on what answer you've chosen so far. That's funny. But also, I can't disagree with it. They probably should have tried to find... Perhaps you did something wrong if there's mountains and mountains of corpses. This is without a doubt a Kingdom of Conscience line. I'm really actually quite pleased, because now I'm being burned for things that, yes, absolutely burn me for it. Because I'm like, yes, they should have taken a different approach. But also the like, oh, you're very smart. You would never have made that. Of course, I would never. The problem is if there was an obvious, easier choice that would have done what they were trying to do and not resulted in mountains of corpses, they probably would have done that. But it's very easy in hindsight to say, well, I just wouldn't have done the thing that they did. It's like, well, would you have taken a risk of some sort? Or would you have sat there and waited for the perfect option to make no mistakes? And in doing so, not taken any actions and made a mistake through your inaction. Such good writing.
The price of idealism, unrestrained by humanism. Never again.
It's so bad because I'm like, Do you know what the price of idealism unrestrained by humanism is? Fanaticism. I recoil from it when I encounter it. You should always question what you're doing. The moment you cease questioning whether what you're doing is the right thing to do, you're going to make bad choices. No, I have not even internalized the Kingdom of Conscience thought. I don't have enough points to do it. And yet, it is already calling me out. Amazing. I'm much more comfortable with this than if the game were to give me a hard time for beliefs that are not in line with my own. Alright, so I'm gonna get roasted. But I can take solace in knowing that you have all been roasted, regardless of which option you chose. The game will have roasted you just as soundly as it roasted me, or is roasting me. And those of you who are communists probably got roasted more personally, because I believe that the people who made this game, you can go in and roast with more like surgical precision the better you know the person or idea that you're roasting is all. Yeah. That's all right. It's funny. I suspect that if I got a high enough point on something else, I might have unlocked another bit of information on the symbol here with the star and the antlers. All right. Price of idealism unrestrained by humanism. I am opposed to that. Like I said, the moment you cease asking questions, the moment that you are willing to make decisions that but then of course the problem is if you go too far with that, then you start questioning too much and are unable to make a decision at all, which is a problem that I have. It's definitely a flaw in this kind of belief system. I absolutely recognize that and would like to find a way to work around it. Trying to find a better balance in my balance. All right. And yet I don't consider myself a centrist per se. Perhaps that is because I grew up in the United States where being a democratic socialist is viewed as an extremist. If I were to be in a more civilized part of the world, perhaps I would accept that I was a moderate. Yeah, it's interesting. Are radical centrists like true neutral in D&D alignment, which is an absolute, oh, I can swear on the stream, an absolutely batshit crazy thing to frame a character around? Like, you have to create a literally, like, it's impossible to have a normal human that is a true neutral character. Lodos had a really good true neutral character, but she was like a larger than life figure, so it worked. Oh, I'm really glad to see, actually. Just so you know, apparently Twitch's auto mod tries to mod out hate speech to protect trans people. That is good. Here we are decrying the mentality of doing harm to trans people, but I would rather that the auto mod be careful about things like that. Oh, also, I didn't say that I automatically oppose violence. This box is filled with cleaning chemicals. Smells of laundry detergent. Ooh, flip up glasses. The auditor. Reduce authority, increase logic. I'll take that. Interesting. Interesting. Nobody saw me. Plus, that might have been in the trash can. I'm just going to take other people's trash because I can. Eviction notices and missing pets are plastered on top of each other. Yeah, because there is this like ominous, like oppressive feel to the music, and the fact that the apartments, like this place is very dark and run down. So the fact that there are so many eviction notices, that they're just plastered on the board. But then the fact that there are so many missing pets potentially as well. I have to admit that makes me... My little brain just like latches onto that to be like, oh no, what is happening to the animals? Is something going on? Are there people out there? Because one of the reasons why you should not allow your cat to roam outside unsupervised, one of the many reasons why you shouldn't do that, and I will aggressively say so and have arguments with people who disagree with me, is because there are people out there who will do great harm to your animal for fun. Not to mention the dangers, especially if you live in a city, of vehicles, or the dangers if you live in the countryside of wild animals or people with guns. Not to mention the damage that your animals will do to the wildlife, the native wildlife. Don't do it. Also, if you allow your cats, if you are in a place where it is normalized to allow your cats to roam around outside unsupervised, then other people's cats can go missing and not be found because neighbors, instead of asking and checking, is this cat where it's supposed to be, will assume that this is one more cat running around. So don't do that. You may not care if I run your cat over, but I do. Please don't make me run your cat over. And please do not allow your cat out so that people don't go looking for my cat if my cat is missing. And yeah, there are people who will target, for example, black cats in particular. I had a black cat, my kitty Knox. We still have an emote of Knox in her Knox box. So, yeah. So yeah, it's possible that Martinez has a problem like that. Whether it's, well, okay, so like, people who have no power, I'm just gonna take this for a minute. Just a minute. Look at this. We can do this. Okay. Just briefly. People who have no power will desperately look for opportunities to claim power wherever they can. And so if they have no power in their lives because they're desperate, they have like unreliable jobs, unreliable places to live, they're put in place, perhaps the union that is supposed to help protect them is also extorting them, so they have no allies there. Or even worse, their children who grow up with their parents are powerless, and so if you have parents who are powerless may choose to find power against their children and kind of test and prove their power against their children because children have no power against them. And then the children in that situation can then turn around and do the same thing to animals, again, have no power to stop them. And that would not surprise me if that happened in Martinaise. This is a desperate enough place that I can absolutely see the desperate and destitute turning to the people who can't resist them to prove to themselves that they have strength. And their children who have no hope for a better future and no example of a better way to parent, no example of a better way to have a healthier relationship, targeting neighborhood animals, pets, perpetuating a cycle of abuse and powerlessness. But in that case, the top of it, perhaps, the abuse would be society on some level. Could be the union, could be the corporation, something like that. It's so important to remember that this is a cycle, and this is one of the reasons why it is really important to take a close look at what it is that you do, what actions you take, and why you're taking those actions. You should always interrogate yourself as much as you can. Obviously, you're going to have blind spots where you are not able to really see what you're doing or why. But I don't know, maybe it's just because I am aware of the potential for perpetuating certain cycles myself based on my life experiences. But I don't have the luxury of going on autopilot, you know? And I think that the world would be better if more people didn't go on autopilot, especially if you know that you come from a place of pain. I've seen people online who are clearly traumatized, but rather than interrogate that trauma and hold themselves accountable, take themselves to task, so to speak, and try everything they can to avoid perpetuating that, they come to understand and accept the fact that they have been harmed and they have been traumatized, and so they get to the point of acceptance that they have been a victim, which is, I think, an important part of healing, but they don't necessarily understand that one can be a victim and also be a perpetrator, if that makes sense. So and that's so dangerous, because then you can try to call them on it and be like, you are doing the same hurtful, hateful thing. And they'll be like, I can't possibly do that. Do you not know what harm has been done to me? And I'm like, I don't care what harm has been done to you. You need to stop it. Once you've stopped it, then I will care very, very much about the harm that has been done to you and what we can do to help you heal from that. But you've got to stop harming others. Yes, the passing on of trauma. Yes. And yeah, part of a way of doing this, and this is like, we can't control what other people do, but we can control what we do, which is why I encourage people to interrogate and try to be self-aware of your own actions. I talked about when I played Night in the Woods, there was a period of time in my life that I realized with my old cats, and this is like one of my great shames, but I bring this up because people sometimes think of me as a good person. They hold me in some sort of high enough regard. And if I am that at all, it is not a binary state. It is a constant action. There was a period of time that one of my cats, if I raised my hand to pet her, would shy away. It was my doing that caused that. And it was one of the most painful things in my entire life, was realizing that. But you have to realize that. in order to stop doing it. And it needs to be stopped. And it is on us to stop that and make sure that that doesn't happen as much as we can. So we can talk about, like, socially, the best way to prevent this kind of thing is to prevent people from being desperate enough that this cycle is set off. But also we need to hold ourselves accountable and do our best to find what our best self is and look at our own ugly truths and do better. And it sucks so much, but you have to be able to sit with the feeling of knowing you've done something wrong in order to be able to do better. And you owe it to yourself and the world to do better. And the people here, bringing this back to this game, the people here in Martinez are desperate. And we're going to see the results of that desperation. And yeah, it is very frustrating and difficult when people normalize the abusive or traumatizing experiences and say that's just how it is. For example, I know people who have grown up in harmful environments and then perpetuated those harmful environments on the next generation. And when they would talk about the outright abuse that, for example, their parents gave them, they would say, well, that's just how it was. You know, for example, my parents were, you know, immigrants from a different culture in which that's just what you did. You just beat your children. And I'm like, no, that's not okay. Also, yes, I was spanked and I turned out fine. Yeah. Yeah, that is a good thing. Spanking, by the way, has just absolutely universally been proven to do harm and no good. And yet, despite showing all the evidence, people will say, oh no, but it's different. It's different when I do it. And just straight up reject that evidence. It's so infuriating. It's an easy thing to just not do. Don't spank your children. I am not a pacifist. I think that there are times and places where violence is necessary, but not against your children or your pets. Just across the board. No. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get back to the game, shall we? How is this? Look at this! I'm cueing everybody. I'm about to go off on a thing. It should be completely illegal to hit children. And yeah, sometimes you've got to be willing to fight to defend things that need to be defended. I don't have enough faith in humanity to be a pacifist. And I will fight to defend pacifists because I do respect pacifism. I just don't ascribe to it myself. Oh, boys, hold on. I talked too long. Or I talked just long enough. Yeah, punishment, as it turns out, is not actually a deterrent. We can talk about rehabilitative and restorative justice versus punitive justice. That's a whole conversation. It may not be the first time we've had one midstream, but we have them less frequently during midstream as we do in my little preambles. All right, boys, good job. Let's take a look at some things. An old shoe rack, boots, sneakers, and old slippers, and a thought. I like that there's like birds and stuff around here. These shoes come in 3 different sizes, so there's a family in here. Let us see what we can observe here. Apartment number 12. A loud rumbling snore comes from within. Somebody is sleeping early. That's interesting. But I suppose if, I exits and balconies. I suppose if work is on pause because of the strike and you don't want to be a scab but you don't want to participate in the strike, you could sleep. Might see what's in here. Hi Kashi, you missed me. I started off with a bit of a video essay about Satire and Disco Elysium. And other than that, we finished up our conversation with Joyce just by accepting the task. And then we've come into the apartment building. Oh, and we grabbed a bunch of cans and bottles so we can make a tiny bit of money. Punitive justice is bad. Just across the board. It's just bad. It's just super ineffective. It doesn't even do the thing that it's supposed to do. All it does is make the people who want to punish people feel good in this like, yeah, I'm watching somebody else get hurt sort of way. And I just generally don't think that that's good. I can't really get behind revenge fantasy movies. Like, I can't really get behind things with lots of violence. Like, I can't watch John Wick. I like the beginning of the first John Wick movie, but I really just can't stomach killing a bunch of people because somebody wronged you. It just is not cool to me. Punishment doesn't work as an element of justice. That's the thing. It doesn't do that. It doesn't prevent people from doing bad things. Like, I've done a fair bit of reading and like unless the studies have changed in the past like 5 years or so, it's like if you want to stop people from doing bad things out of desperation, you make them, you find a way to make it so that they're no longer desperate, you know? Anyway, I'll take a little tiny bit of money here. What is this? Postcard. Boogie Street 46. Is that in somebody's mailbox? Why would I take someone's mail? No. Oh shoot, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to exit. Okay, well, let's take a look at that. I guess I did that. Okay. This crumpled up postcard. Oh, it's crumpled up. Okay. Depicts an open air market in Boogie Street about 5 years ago. A vendor smiles as dead roosters line his stalls. Hung by their feet from canopy, red blood flows onto the muddy street. Blurry shadows of people pass. Interesting. Flip-up glasses. These flip-up sunglasses were fashionable in the old, but have since lost their popularity. Their thin gold alloy wire frames are a reminder of drug-addled bohemian artists. These days, the glasses are only favored by organized crime accountants who desire to look cool. Okay, so this postcard, I feel less bad about it. Apparently the back of the postcard is not written upon. So an open air market. So you're talking about what a cheerful scene this is? I have a comment there. If you look at the picture, and if you keep in mind that it's an open air market, the vendor and the dead roosters and the blood are only one part of the scene. I would say that perhaps the fact that that is in our description here, as opposed to the many other things that are probably in the scene in an open air market, perhaps says a little bit more about Ocelot's frame of mind than necessarily the image itself. If that makes sense. Hey, do you want to looking for symbolism, girl this? What's the saying? You've got to You've got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. We have this negative reaction. Oh my god. These animals are bleeding in this postcard and their blood is in the street. How many of you eat chicken though? Although our roosters, I think it's usually hens that are eaten, not roosters. Something to think about. I don't think I've heard anything about Boogie Street yet. Okay, well, we got some vegans. I am not. I am omnivorous, and have no issues with that. Although I do think that factory farming is a big problem. And if you can afford to, have like locally sourced, ethically sourced meat products, it is best to do that. Yeah, blood in the street it's an interesting image. Where I'm going with this, my looking for symbolism thing, my talking about the eggs and the chickens and all of these things. Sometimes you've got to pile up bodies in order to achieve the ideal that you're going for. You see, that's where I'm going with that. Very subtly. I don't know that that's what they're doing with this. But bringing it back around. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, one might ask, organized crime accountants are the only ones who have these glasses like this. Who here in this building has that as their background? All right. So +1 logic, balancing the books. -1 authority, filthy boho, probably a narcomaniac, which would be a drug user. Honestly, I would like less of authority, so I'm totally down with more logic and less authority. Oh, I could put this on my glasses. I won't put this on my face. Yeah, take that authority. I actually like that a lot. Okay, well now I have a lot of logic. Just probably need to be careful about that, but I don't mind having a little less authority. Good night, Chrono. Tell Mrs. Chrono I say hi. I hope that you're doing all right. Both of you. Take care, my friend. All right. I don't like the fact that I have bullets. I guess I could conceivably get my gun back. I may not like bullets or guns, but it's probably worse for my gun to be out there. So we've got a bunch of balconies. Oh, I could actually go out there and talk to that girl on level with where she is. Cape Side Apartments. We're gonna go in here and hopefully not die. Oh. Oh my. Oh. Waves crashing in the darkness. I guess if you come here not at night, that probably says something different. I don't think I can get to that. Someone has torn down the wall. I'm gonna try not to die here. An old grocery list on the table and checks. No Safed and money, okay. looks like almost like a blood-stained mattress there. This place has been, like, this apartment has been particularly destroyed. Oh, what did you notice this time around?
What happened here?
Thank you, logic. 'Cause I've been trying to figure that out myself. Fortunately, logic is here because I have the glasses. All right. You can't foreclose on an apartment with a hole in the wall, or this looks so sad. I'm not going to discard this thought. Say, this looks so sad. And then if it lets me, I'll go back to be logical.
Put your emotions aside. Try to focus on abstract, impersonal things.
Amazing! Oh! Oh! No, I'm at war with myself internally. That was what I was wondering. So the one thing that's nice about these glasses is that they'll help me kind of rein in authority, which I naturally have a distrust of as Lauren. And I am more inclined to like logic. However, logic is dangerously big. So I actually did this intentionally. I'm sorry. I probably should have explained my rationale in making that decision. But this is literally what I was trying to see if this would happen. Oh man. Because it's actually dangerous to set aside your feelings and try to think logically, because humans are emotional creatures, and the world doesn't follow logic. And so here my nature is at war with itself. I'm totally fine with taking that health, by the way, like that or that damage. That's great. That's good. A+. Totally on board with it. No, so I don't know if I should keep these glasses on. We'll see if my logic is too high. But it's good to know, because having too much of something makes you, like, it colors the options. It colors the options that you can choose. Like it gives you different options, and different things open up. But I think this may be the first time that I've directly contradicted what an attribute is going for. Because they set this up so I could see that it was a direct contradiction. There was going to be conflict there, and I wanted to see what would happen. But also, there's a reason why I put so many points. There's a reason why I made empathy my signature skill, and that's because I want to try to make my character be able to be good and kind as much as possible, to avoid having a... There's a lot of ways that a cop story can go in places I don't want it to go, as I've said before on stream. And so I'm cautious about having too much logic for precisely this reason here. So I picked This Looks So Sad because for me, I think as Lauren, I think that it is imperative that we consider the humanity of situations when we encounter them as much as possible. So even when you're having deductive reasoning as an investigator, which is primarily what we're supposed to do, I think it is important to never forget that people are people. However, there are some downsides for that. It's tricky because things that are emotionally devastating enough, such as probably working with dead bodies, could be part of that, or end of life care and things like that. Like that kind of, you sustain psychic damage a lot doing that sort of thing. And so you kind of have to find a way to remove yourself from it. But if you remove yourself from it too much, then you do permanent damage to yourself, cutting that off. And also perhaps are going to do more damage to others based on that being cut off from you, either within those situations specifically or generally, depending on how much of a disconnect you make. So you have to find a way, like, how do you care enough to still be kind and take action without doing so much damage to yourself that you aren't able to do anything? Because if you don't care, then you're not going to do things to make it better. And if you are too hurt by caring too much, you won't be able to. So how do you find that right balance? And that's hard. I don't know. Anyway, it's funny because I a lot of times I'm really excited and happy to have. I don't know that I've had a lot of logic per se. I think I've had a lot of, encyclopedia shows up a lot. But I don't think logic has been dominant, so I don't think I've had to wrestle with it. But I'm fully prepared to put Ocelot's life on the line to wrestle with parts of my personality. Literally in this game, just as we have to do it symbolically, non-literally, metaphorically with ourselves in real life. What do you think of my looking for symbolism, girl? How are we doing? Oh man, okay, anyway, I'm going to continue with this conversation, but I am pleased to see this, because I'm also kind of still feeling out the logistics of how the game works. See, it's funny because I said logistics, and it's logic, though. I'm going to keep going, I'm going to hit a button.
But this reeks of sadness.
Oh, man. Oh, no. Oh no, folks. See, because you called me out for rejecting Inland Empire. Now Inland Empire and I are allies. Okay? What have you done? What will this mean for the rest of my gameplay? I do really enjoy that this game gives me additional vocabulary that I can use to describe things. So when I'm just like cuckoo banana pants brainstorming, mini golfing, or whatever, I can say, well, let's listen to Inland Empire. But that's why I've talked about the reason why I've been fighting Inland Empire so much and been so mad at Inland Empire is because I have so much Inland Empire in real life, but mine is not the same as Ocelot's. We are in conflict in that regard. But if you put me with Inland Empire versus logic, apparently I'm going to choose Inland Empire sometimes. Anyway, I'm satisfied with this. I will take psychic damage to try to care about people. But don't just doom scroll on Twitter, because then you are taking psychic damage and not accomplishing much. I call the character Ocelot because I don't know his name. Do not tell me a name. By the way, I want to point out, if you look at the things in the bottom underneath the game, I'm pretty strict about no spoilers, no backseating. So don't tell me what's going to happen either in the mechanics of the game or the story of the game. I'm very slow and methodical. I like to think through everything and investigate. So if that drives you crazy, you can always jump on our Discord and yell with everybody else in the stream spoilers chat that I don't go to. So the reason why I call him Ocelot is because before I started the game, I took a look at the cover art to kind of get a sense for something. And I was like, okay, so it's Revolver Ocelot and Glasses Flashlight Man. Together they fight crime. Because he looked like Revolver Ocelot to me. He's got mutton chopping facial hair. And then it's funny. So it's convenient. It gives me a name. So I continue to call him Ocelot, although he's kind of become Disco Ocelot instead of Revolver Ocelot. But like that way, like everybody knows what I'm talking about when I call him Ocelot. If we get a name for him in game, then I will go with that name. Please do not tell me. In the meantime, he's Disco Ocelot to me. Oh, that's right. I was gonna put a thing up that showed what my build was. I maybe had some of this information on the screen. Kojima could have Disco Ocelot. Yeah, that could be. Do you think that Ocelot in this game would fit in a Kojima story? Oh my god. The thing is, I don't... I don't think Kojima realizes that his Inland Empire is Inland Empire. And I think that that would get in the way of him writing a character like this. Oh, Kojima, he is a character, all right. He has a lot of Inland Empire himself. I just don't think he realizes that's what it is. All right. Well, I have sided with my ally, Inland Empire, despite everything. Yes, he thinks Inland Empire is perception. You know, I think you're correct, Boy Wonderkind. Should I try to say that with a German accent? Wunderkind, is that correct? I should probably get back to trying to learn German so I can read the Neverending Story. That's what I was doing. That's why we have a channel dedicated to that on our server, on Discord server. I haven't done that. Okay. I'm better at German than I am at French pronunciations, despite having studied French, but that does not mean I am good. Oh, I'm also from Texas. I live in Canada now, and I speak with a Canadian accent because of my mom, but I grew up in DFW, so. Yeah. Tangents. Okay. All right. You can't foreclose on an apartment with a hole in the wall.
It will still be accessible through the apartment next to it. That one didn't have a door. Sadly, nothing of great value remains here.
Oh, they have to rub in the fact that logic doesn't care about this situation. You know? I'm triangles, oh my god. That's really funny. Okay, you have to know Metal Gear Solid 2 to reference that. That's 2, right? Isn't Vamp from 2? Because isn't that... I think so. Could be wrong. Okay, I'm right. Thanks. I haven't played that myself, but I have watched friends play parts of it. And I had a friend who was really into shipping Otacon and Snake. So I heard about them a lot and their adventures a lot. All right. So it will still be accessible through the apartment next to it, which didn't have a door. Is this not a door? Sadly, nothing of great value remains here. There's so what's interesting here, except the stuff in the fridge, or there's always a little something in the fridge. Those are the same thing, but there's a difference there. So I have to sit here for a minute. Yeah, apparently they raise a child together. I have to sit here for a minute and ask myself, is there a significance to the fact that they have two different phrasings for the same general thing? And if so, what are those trying to convey? And is that actually going to make a difference? Which one conveys something that I want to convey? Because I wouldn't be Lauren if I didn't overthink everything, right? All right. There's always a little something in the fridge. I like that line better. Maybe I'll just take that because I like that. I'm just going to choose that answer because I like it better instead of overthinking it. How's that? Let's try that. Maybe I'll regret this. Probably won't make a difference.
Indeed.
What? 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 How did I level up off of observing that there's gonna be stuff in the fridge? What? Logic is so proud. Logic gave me experience for thinking that there would be something in the fridge. What? I had this incredibly long conversation with Joyce that stretched over like 3 streams-ish, or something like that. I don't know if I leveled up during that. I don't think I did. No. I leveled up, and oh, I can swear in this stream. I leveled up on the goddamn fridge. That's really funny. And now we can use one of those thoughts. We can internalize another thought. I got a lot of experience from Joyce, but I didn't get the level on Joyce. I got the level on the fridge. That's really funny. There's always a little something in the fridge. That does seem more like the logical thinking way through it, instead of being like, well, I saw stuff in the fridge. Instead, I'm like, there's always going to be something in the fridge. I don't know. I don't know. All right. Let's see. Indeed. I forgot that you can get something by just like walking around places. You can observe things. And maybe put on different clothes. A jar of experience in the fridge. I like that. There's nothing else interactable here. That is sad. Well, and you kind of... Do you hear things skittering as I took steps? I have lived in a cockroach-infested apartment. I lived there for about a month. And then I got out of there and had to explain to my roommate, who was younger and much less experienced with things, that that's not normal. And would be bad for his health. Okay, so once you've eliminated the fog of war in places, you don't have to bring the flashlight back in. Okay, that's good to know. That's interesting. This would have been two separate apartments. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry, we're not done here. I gotta overthink it a little bit. What do you expect from me? Look at the placement of this. The fridge and the bathtub. There seems to be no stove or place, like, way to cook food. Because like the window is broken, and so that's presumably related to why this is coming off. But the furniture has all been smashed, presumably because it's open. Presumably other people would have come in and done something, like looted stuff if they're going to. Maybe somebody squats in here. I don't know. But that's really interesting. I suppose I should talk to this lady, shouldn't I? I'm gonna save. Because I come in two modes. Compulsive saving and forgetting that saving exists. See what happens if I try to go through this door. It's locked. You gotta go through that door. Interestingly though, this right here, this like partial door cover thing. I don't know. I'm curious. Alright, shall I talk to this lady? Talk to this little old lady. Sweeping, which feels like a pointless exercise in a way with how much filth there is here. You've got to keep trying. Look at how they've got mail shoved under the door here. All right, let's talk to her. No, I forgot about the level up. I forgot about the level up blue glass. Oh no, because I could put a point in Shivers. Because you can't just put a point in these, can you? I think you need to have multiple points probably to do that. I could put another point in Shivers because I want Shivers. Shivers feels like the character that I want to play, I think. I'm so uncool. Oh, skill cap reached. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to do the drugs to change that. Okay, well, that at least... It's fine. That's fine. That's fine. By the way, for anyone who's dropping by for the first time, here's my character sheet. I decided that I wanted to make a character that was compatible with me as a person so that I am less likely to be frustrated and annoyed. In trying to solve puzzles and have experiences and react to things and stuff. I want my character to be thinking things the way I think things. And as anyone who has watched me, for a while can attest, like this is actually pretty in line with the way that I play the game. These right here. Encyclopedia is my pal. It's like my BFF. And I try to be guided by empathy. I had a battle with Inland Empire for a while. And I got called out by viewers. But today, perhaps I forged an alliance with Inland Empire, and it's all downhill from here. I mean, and yes, I may be misunderstanding things, and that's fine. If I misunderstand it, that's future Lauren's problem when she realizes what things are actually doing, or if the game explains it to me. Okay, so character sheet, but also thought cabinet. This one or this one. Oh man, folks. Folks, I gotta make a decision. Hey, remember when I said this is future Lauren's problem? Before realizing I was tripping over a level? Well, I'm future Lauren. And it's my problem now. Or I could just not do it. Curse you, past Lauren. Amazing. God, I love this song. Okay. Inexplicable feminist. Okay, well, I'm not going to look at the names of the rest of those. I really want to, but I won't. All right. So the 15th Indo tribe seems like that's going to be some interesting, weird little world building. It could also be something really big. It takes a lot of research time. Okay, we're going to look at this, and I'm going to think about it. Royal monopolies, octopus, swordfish. Okay. Isn't one missing? No, there are only 14. Why do you feel like there was a 15th Indo tribe? Like, one thing that these two have in common is kind of reconciling Ocelot's gut feelings with this world that makes no sense around him. This feels like the most important of all the thoughts, the one you truly must complete. I mean, this could very well wind up being really bad for me. I could lead to something bad. Yeah, no, it's telling me that it's the most important. But like this, okay, so Lonesome Long Way Home felt like it was a really big deal one. Learning cap for perception raised to 5. Speed. Oh, look at that. Past Station 41. And through the market past the Boogie Street Spearhead. Okay, so Boogie Street is where he used to live. Or is in the vicinity. That's how you get to where he used to live. Station 41. Okay, hold on. Yes or no question. This is the hat that I wear to indicate. Yes or no question, only yes or no. Is Station 41, is Precinct 41 my precinct as a cop? I know this, they've said it before, but I have a really bad memory. All right. Okay. Just wanted to make sure, because if that's not the case. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I know that Kim is from, like, is he from 32 or is he from something else? I don't know. Okay, Station 41. Walk past Station 41 and through the market, past the Boogie Street Spearhead to the other side of the lake, the frozen eye at the center of the district. Then past the video rental store on the corner at the end of the street, lined with pine trees, a small house no larger than a matchbox. 11 Voyager Road, you no longer live there. I'm sorry, I'm recontextualizing this a little bit because this is about his old home with presumably with his wife who left him, based on the little bits of information, and again, no spoilers, the little bits of information that I was able to get from my, what do they call it? The voice at the very beginning of the game. But that gave a little bit of a hint very early on about there being, I think, a wife that left him, and that's presumably part of why he's drinking. I mean, it's also possible that she died or something, but I'm under the impression that she left him, which is very detective noir. Ancient reptilian brain, thank you. I'm pretty sure I called that like primordial soup brain or something like that last time I referenced it. All right. But okay, so Boogie Street and the market that Boogie Street is part of, that's close to my station. So that postcard is close to my station, which perhaps could explain why Ocelot's able to recognize it. Then there's a lake. We cross the lake. The center of the district. And that's how we get to our old home. I just really, really like... Okay, anyway. This one, the problem, I believe, did say that it was really important. No, it didn't. Okay. Jam rock. Okay, yeah. I just... okay. So I have to ask myself, what are my priorities here? Because eventually I want to get all of these thoughts. Maybe. I don't know. As somebody who's addicted to lore. It's in my name. Look, it's not my fault. What do I want? Okay. I suspect this is going to be world building. This is going to progress the metagame as a work of satirical literature, as a weaponized... How did I call it? I had a phrase for it. Hold on. I'm sorry you have to deal with me. I'm kind of sorry for what I am, but I'm not sorry for what I am. What did I call it? I had a phrase. I don't know. It's probably not very important. But I think that this is... If the thing that I talked about satire and the interactivity of satire in this game is correct, Kingdom of Conscience will move the metagame forward with the satire. Jamais vu is going to progress, potentially, my understanding of my character, his internal story. It could be that I'm off base in all of these. That's fine. Which one am I going to choose? I really am interested in Kingdom of Conscience, especially because I just had this whole thing that I was working on that I started writing related to it. But I kind of want to put that off for now. Because once you have a thought active, you, I believe that it affects things that you do. So this will, yeah. I'm going to try this. Can I internalize this? Oh, I have to unlock. Okay, I have to unlock some. I wonder if it makes a difference. Which of these if you'll notice, these ones, you can see the square underneath them. This one you can't. I don't know if that's just a graphical thing or if volumetric shit compressor, because it's plot required, is different. Okay, I wonder if you can build something by the way you rearrange your thoughts. I don't know. But I feel like this one is connected to Lonesome Long Way Home, so I should make it so it can connect to Lonesome Long Way Home. Let's unlock this. Confirm. Let us internalize jamais vu. Oh, interesting. It goes on its own path here. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to be thinking about that for a little while. All right, I did it. I made a decision. Aren't you proud of me? You should be very proud of me. Let us talk to this old lady. If it is an old lady, it might not be an old lady. It's hard for me to make decisions, okay? I have to overanalyze things, trying to figure out what the best route is. But sometimes you just gotta make a decision, because otherwise you're not playing the game. And that is your decision. Let us talk to this lady and see what's up.
Give me a moment.
An elderly woman is leaning on her broom, her knuckles white as bone. She seems to be having difficulty breathing. Okay, her job is cleaning lady. Either that or she's the lady who is cleaning. I don't know. For me, cleaning lady is a like it's a compound noun basically. That refers to a person who does the cleaning as opposed to being a lady who is cleaning. I wonder if that is true across. Potence pour les riches. La. Oh, I already looked at that one. Okay. Her name is Cleaning of the Esteemed Lady Family. Yes. Unlikely, but possible. All right.
The cold never does any good for my bronchitis.
She sneezes into a dirty handkerchief. All right. You all right? Should I call a doctor? In which case we get to hear about the terrible state of healthcare here in Revachol. Or this won't take long. I only have a few questions. Let's ask if she's all right and see if I should call a doctor. And she's going to say no. Bronchitis is bad. If it goes untreated, it can turn into pneumonia and then you can die. So I internalized jamais vu. All right. Are you all right? Should I call a doctor?
I'm fine. Fine. Don't you worry about me.
She starts coughing, red spots appearing on her cheeks. Oh, that's concerning. Oh, honey. My mom is prone to lung issues, so I have a natural instinct to worry about people who have bronchitis.
You're still worried. It's very worrying.
No, that's true. I am. That is exactly what I was just saying, empathy. Thank you. Empathy's there for me. We're on the same page here.
Now, what do you want from me, policeman?
She's the cleaning lady. She knows the floor plan and the residence.
Oh my god. There's so much information here. I am going to have to be careful with logic, though. I'd rather have encyclopedia. I feel a little nervous about logic stepping up. I want more encyclopedia. I can trust encyclopedia. All right. Let's get to know her a bit better first. My natural inclination is to try to get to know people better so that then when I ask them more pressing questions, they're more likely to trust me and give me helpful answers. Does that play out in this game? I don't know. But that is Lauren's general MO. Who are you? Or I can ask about this fellow right here. Gotta be careful about that, though. I don't want word getting back. Or I can have questions about the apartments. Okay, let's see. Who are you?
I'm no one. Just an old woman who cleans these hallways.
Nobody's no one, honey. Do you live here?
If you can call it living. I have a little room upstairs right next to the coal room.
She spits on the floor before wiping it off with a broom. That's not good, especially if she's got bronchitis. A little room upstairs right next to the coal room. So basically Cinderella. That's also really sad. What a way to talk about your life. If you can call it living. But with enough desperation, lack of hope, and lack of joy. It's hard.
It's barely bigger than a closet. But I don't complain, no. I have my bed and my aching bones to keep me company. And that's all I need from this world.
I was wondering when I first talked to her, like sometimes with people like this, like, because sometimes there are people who are like, oh no, nothing to worry about. But then there's people who make a big fuss and a production of like, oh, I'm nobody, I'm nothing, I'm fine. But what they really want is for you to fuss all over them. I suspect she's going to be a little bit more in that category. She juts out her chin, her eyes shining. So like eyes shining could be like she's very alert and paying attention, or it could be that she's feverish if she has bronchitis.
She hasn't spoken to anyone for a while. Even her sentences feel rusty.
Really? Oh, okay. Thank you, Rhetoric. I hadn't picked up on that. Because to me, this sounds like this is a well-worn thing that she's saying, but I think she's used to saying it to herself. I think maybe she tells herself she doesn't complain and she's got everything she needs. That is unfortunate. Well, I'm sorry that she won't talk to me about herself, but maybe I'll get more information and be able to come back. I'll ask a few questions about those apartments first.
Ask away, policeman.
Oh, man. Yes, please. Okay, so I can ask, do you know who lived in the foreclosed apartment? Why is there a hole in the wall in the abandoned apartment? Is one of the residents on a vacation? Their mailbox is overflowing. What can you tell me about Cindy? And that's all, thanks. So it's interesting that she gets cleaning lady. She doesn't get a name. You know, I find that very interesting, because they'll sometimes give us people's names or more information. Okay, I'm gonna go down the line here because I'm curious about this, but I'm really interested to see what she has to say about Cindy and if that'll affect the conversation that I can have outside with Cindy. I'm worried about the resident that has the overflowing mailbox, whether they're still with us or not. Let's see. Do you know who lived in the foreclosed apartment?
The hell am I supposed to know? Another nut job, I assume.
The cleaning lady shrugs, her mouth puckered like a dried fig. Oh, that's so descriptive. Can't you just envision that? How interesting. Okay, so she's not going to be very helpful or accommodating. Well, we're going to keep asking some questions and see what we can do. Why is there a hole in the wall in the abandoned apartment?
Some lunatic lost his mind. All kinds of morons pass through these halls.
So we have this immediate expectation that a little old lady is going to be charming in some way. She's either going to be like sweet or she's going to be eccentric. And if she's going to be grumpy, it's going to be in an interesting eccentric way. And instead we just have this lady who's just insulting everybody in a kind of like judgmental, passively prickly sort of way. That's in a lot of ways like just unremarkable. It's that in itself is interesting. She does not think very highly of the other people around here, so if she's not accustomed to talking, thanks rhetoric, and she doesn't think highly of the people around here, she's probably not going to go telling people that I was in here asking, but you don't know. That is a head right here. Look at that. That's a face with this is a face with a big nose looking down its nose at you, wearing a top hat. So this is their eat the rich message, and this is the rich that's going to get eaten.
With how small these rooms are, wouldn't you want to break the wall down?
Maybe. So these are all teeny tiny little studios. All right, I'm going to ask. Is one of the residents on a vacation? Their mailbox is overflowing. And yeah, like the rooms are tiny and the windows are tiny. And it could be maddening to live here. Living in a very small space is hard. I've never lived in a studio. I've lived in a 600 square foot apartment for 2 people. And that was very crowded feeling. But I know by some places' standards, that's a lot. Just depends on how things are laid out and what you're accustomed to. I'm from Texas, where space tends to be a bit bigger. So, is one of the residents on a vacation? Their mailbox is overflowing.
People come and go. I don't keep an eye on everyone.
She just does not care. There's probably a way to charm her, but I don't know it. I haven't got it. I mean, I guess her portrait looks like she's holding her, like it could look like she's holding the broom like it's a weapon.
They probably just moved or died. Hopefully somewhere else.
Died is kind of what I was thinking. So what can you tell me about Cindy? See if she has anything to say about Cindy. It'll be interesting if she actually has anything to say about Cindy when she has no care about anyone else. But she may very well just be like, who? Who's that?
The artiste? Nothing I can do about her, I'm afraid. She ruins the walls faster than I can clean them. Still...
It's a good point. You got to humanize the downside of graffiti. Which I think I've mentioned as a thing to keep in mind.
She leaves an old lady to her business. More than I can say for others.
She doesn't like me very much. Sorry, ma'am. This is the problem with being a person who asks a million questions of everybody. Not everybody likes it. That's fine, ma'am.
She mumbles some kind of a response, then hacks something into her handkerchief.
Yeah, so I picked that's all, thanks. All right. I'm gonna go with, I'm looking for a young male in his mid-20s, dark hair, skinny build, a smoker on the balcony. See if she can give me any hints about this fella. Mr. Fake Name.
Yes, yes. I know who you mean. The scrawny boy who's always smoking like the devil, right?
Oh, she's actually helpful here. I guess this is probably what this conversation can serve. Probably if you have the right points, you can probably trigger something else with her, but I am not equipped for that. So she looks at the other end of the hallway and continue is pretty bright here.
Somewhere in the building, a child starts crying. You hear a radio tuned to a talk show and someone taking a shower.
Oh man, thank you, Perception. I'm glad to know that I have enough to make an easy roll. All right. Interesting.
What's he in trouble for?
No trouble, I just want to talk to him. Do you know where he lives? Or he's wanted for murder. He's going away for life. I'm not going to say that. Hopefully she won't go gossiping. We'll find out. So let's ask, do you know where he lives?
Talk?
The cleaning lady starts laughing, but it turns into a violent coughing spasm. She squeezes her broom, trying to catch her breath. I wonder if she thinks talk is a euphemism for whatever it is that he's involved in.
What was so funny about that?
He lives upstairs in room 28. Go to the balcony. It's one of those doors there. He's usually home in the evening.
All right.
Thank you. We should go check out his apartment on the balcony. See if he's home.
Thank you, Kim. Okay. Kim has such a soothing voice. They cast him extremely well. So he's upstairs. So there's a balcony. Here's another door that I could open? Not talk to? I would be curious to hear Kim sing if his actor is a musician who would sing. Yes, no, I was going to come here so that I'm more likely to remember where I'm supposed to go, what I'm supposed to do. And then, hold on, actually. Hold on. We're gonna... Oh, I can't raid. They don't have cans for me to raid in here. Well, that's fine. I'm gonna take that out of my hand because I feel like that might make me look weird to people that I'm trying to talk to. Okay, I'm going to save the game then. Okay. So, I think we did okay. Despite some technical difficulties with the internet, I will still try to get this up as quickly as I can tomorrow. So for anyone who missed my ramble at the beginning, I will try to have that where you can get to it. Thank you all so much for joining me. I do this every week on Thursdays from 7 till 10 Eastern time. I am the talkiest talker that ever talked. Look at this. Actually, hold on. We can come here and I can talk and say my goodnights. This is probably a better. What about this? Isn't this great? Look at this. We have a way for me to say my goodnights. Now I just need like a thanks for coming like final picture thing that I can do, like the opposite of a coming soon. Yeah, so I do this every Thursday night. I tend to overanalyze everything. That's why it's Disco Elysium, because I talk a lot. You can see how many hours I have in this game and how unfar I've gotten. So I will be playing more Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, challenging Rockhawk for the championship on Tuesday. And then next week here, we'll presumably go talk to Mr. False Name and see what information we can get. So hopefully that'll go well. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to check out the other stuff that I'm up to, you can always follow my social medias. It's the best way of knowing, like, if I've got like art or writing or something to share. I try to put it up there. Other than that, yeah, check out the preview of my band's next album if you want to hear some good video game music. I think it's good. I'm biased. That's on my YouTube channel. Other than that, yeah, I think that's about it. I'm gonna sign off here, but thank you. Yes, and thank you for being supportive of me and my ramble at the beginning, and for your feedback here on this kind of on a background. Yeah. All right. I will see you all next time. Bye.